Welcome, everybody, to Midday Magazine for this Friday, October 18th, 2024. I have your host, James J. Malouf here. At 4:30, we're going to welcome in our good friend, Wisconsin Rapids Fire Chief Todd X is going to join us. X is going to join us. We're looking forward to talking to Chief X and talking about Fire Prevention Month in October and some other tips for that. Looking forward to that conversation. Right now, we have joining us State Senator Patrick Testin, Senate District number 24 representative. And one of the things that Senator Testin and I are going to do right now is something that we've been continuing to do here, where we interview every one of our candidates. We give them equal amount of time, same questions, something that we've done here at WFHR for many decades, and greatly appreciate the time, as always, Senator. Looking forward to being able to get into one of our kind of normal conversations, if there's any normal, really, but next month. But right now, I appreciate the time, and thank you so much for joining us. We've done this for a while now, but for those that may not know, can you tell us a little bit about your origin story? Tell us a little bit about yourself, sir.
Well, sure. So I originally grew up in Marinette, Wisconsin. My folks were lower middle class, and they struggled, but always instilled in me the value of hard work, and that if you want something in life, you're going to have to go out and earn it for yourself. And found myself in central Wisconsin when I went to college at UWSP and really fell in love with the region, the area, great place to live, and knew that this was going to be my home. And after college, I had the opportunity to work on some campaigns, transitioned into a career in sales, and then made a long shot run for the state Senate in 2016. And I've had the privilege ever since of representing the 24th Senate District. And it's one of these jobs that I absolutely love because no 2 days are the same, and you never know what issues that you're going to work on. And it's one of those jobs you get out of it what you put into it, and hoping for another term down in Madison.
Why did you decide to run? I know this was so long ago. Can you remember what? No, I'm kidding. Why did you decide to originally run?
One of the main reasons why I ran back in 2016 is I've always loved the state of Wisconsin, and it's given me so many opportunities, and want to make sure that others have those same opportunities and even better opportunities moving forward, and the opportunity to give back. And I've been a long proponent of public service, and I felt this was the best avenue that I could make the biggest difference. And I'm proud of the track record I have working across the aisle with my Democrat colleagues to focus on solutions and really advance our area. And there's still a lot more that needs to be done, and I'm hoping to get back to Madison in early January as a member of the Joint Finance Committee as we get ready for the next state budget to tackle some of those challenges.
What qualifies you? How do you feel you specifically can best represent the area?
Well, I think it's my experience. You know, it's kind of interesting because when you first get elected, no one hands you a book on how to be a good legislator. It's one of those, either you sink or you swim. And my ability to sit down with my colleagues and various stakeholders when issues come up and really try and find common ground. I did that right away. I made sure when I first got elected, I reached out to my Democratic colleagues in the Senate and said, if you guys have ideas you think we can work together on, I know there will be some areas where we're pretty far apart, but let's try and find that common ground. And that's what we've really worked on. We would define the playing field. And as a result of that, we actually got bills done rather than focusing on what divides us. Focus on actual solutions, whether it's helping our manufacturers, our tech college system. I mean, you name it. It's our healthcare system. It's been a lot of fun, and you know, it's one of those. The more that you do this, there are still things I learn about state government every single day. It takes some time, and as a member of the Finance Committee, you get to be one of 16 in the room as you work on the biggest and most important vote that you take in every legislative session, which is the state budget. And I think that's made me a more impactful and effective member of the state Senate and the legislature as a whole, being in that room, and I really enjoy it.
How do you feel your previous jobs have prepared you for this one?
Well, working in sales, you've got to be able to work with people, and it's about taking an idea or a concept and really selling that to other members within your house, within the other house, through the committee process, being able to have good communication skills. And, you know, when people have objections, being able to address those and address their concerns, I think that has served me extremely well. And most importantly, the ability to listen. Oftentimes, I think that's the most important job of a legislator is being able to listen to other points of view and other opinions because, as you can imagine, in a district where you represent just shy of 180,000 people, you can get a lot of different ideas and perspectives. And so being able to look through an issue through someone else's lens, I think really helps and pays dividends.
We're speaking with Wisconsin State Senator Patrick Testin right now. And, sir, what are your passions? What would you like to focus on if reelected?
Well, one of my main passions has been, and it's kind of still surprises me, is as it relates to how we can increase affordable health care here in the state. You know, this was an issue area prior to being in the legislature. Healthcare was one of those areas that I was not comfortable with, but in my first state budget, we worked on some healthcare initiatives, and it sparked an interest that I had no idea ever resided in me. But having chaired the Senate Health Committee for 2 sessions, and this past session as the vice chair, there are a lot of areas that we need to address. We have a huge provider shortage, whether it's a lack of physicians, nurses, even CNAs, and doing what we can to find ways to empower our providers to do the jobs that they were trained to do, which is take care of patients. That's why I was so proud this last session. After 6 years of working on this bill, we finally got it signed into law, working with the Marquette School of Dentistry to create a rural scholarship program. Well over half of Wisconsin counties are dental deserts, and when you talk to school administrators, the number one reason why kids miss school is toothaches, because they aren't able to see a dentist. And we know, based on testimony from others, Dr. Miller, for example, who used to run Deer Creek Dental outside Toma, never dreamed that he would find himself in Monroe County. But he just recently retired from a very successful practice. And it just goes to show that our areas like central and western Wisconsin, they can be areas that can provide a great career for some of these high-level professionals. And so I want to take that approach with some other healthcare professions and see if we can't build upon this model to help reduce the shortage that we have here in our area of the state.
Kind of piggybacking off of that, what do you feel are some of the biggest, if not the biggest, challenges facing your fellow Wisconsinites?
Well, right now, as I've been going out throughout the 24th Senate District and even around the state, obviously the economy is at the forefront for a lot of folks' concerns. I mean, high prices have really impacted individuals, especially those on fixed incomes. That's one area where I think there's still more work that needs to be done as it relates to tax relief. You know, that's one area where we had a difference of opinion between the legislature and the Evers administration in this last budget, where we wanted to provide tax relief for all taxpayers in the state. The governor went a different route and vetoed 95% of the tax cuts we sent them. We tried doing individual bills that only one got signed into law, and that was dealing with increase in the child care and dependent tax credit to mirror the federal level. But I do think with the state looking at a $4.5 billion surplus, I do think we need to continue to have that conversation. Hopefully have a sit down with the governor to see what he can support as it relates to tax relief, and then also making sure that we're making our investments in our rural infrastructure. The Agriculture Road Improvement Program, which is a new program where we dedicate $150 million. In the first round of funds that went out, for the first $50 million, there was over $200 million in projects. For the second round of $100 million, they received nearly $300 million in projects. So that just goes to show, even though the significant investments that we've made, there's still a huge need out there to ensure that our farm-to-market roads are being brought up to repair. And so I hope that's one area that we can continue to make critical investments in.
Survey after survey, poll after poll, we are seeing people are done with the divisiveness of today's politics. How important is it to you to be able to reach across the aisle to work with the other side?
I think it's critically important. And that's one thing I always get a chuckle out of when I'm at an event or a parade or going door to door, and I'll go to introduce myself, and they'll say, well, I'm a Democrat. And I always laugh and tell them, so are my parents, and I still talk to them. And I think the more that we can have a dialogue and a respectful one at that, understanding that, you know, I think at the end of the day, Republicans and Democrats all want what's best for our country, our community, our state. We have different ways of going about it. But I'm a firm believer, going back to what Bill Clinton said in his inaugural address in 1993, that there is nothing wrong with America that cannot be fixed by what is right with America. And I still believe that holds true today. And I think when we can focus on what unites us rather than divides us, that's going to go a long way in healing the political divide in this country.
You're running to represent the 24th District once again. How would you best describe the district?
I would say it's a rural district. I mean, especially under the new district lines. I mean, the largest municipality in the 24th Senate District is the city of Stevens Point, followed by Wisconsin Rapids. But it's a district that spans all of Jackson County, eastern Monroe County, most of Juneau County, northern Adams County, southern Wood County, and a portion of Portage County now. So we have a very rural district, so that presents some unique challenges and opportunities. We have a heavy ag economy with a lot of potato and vegetable growers, a lot of cranberry producers, dairy farmers. But then we also have big industries such as Century Insurance. We have paper mills here in central Wisconsin that have faced challenges over the last several years. And then we have great installations like Fort McCoy, which provide a tremendous economic impact for western Wisconsin. So it's a unique district, and it's a privilege to represent it.
Any final statements, sir?
Well, it's been a pleasure working for the people of the 24th Senate District for the better part of the last 8 years, and I'm asking folks for their support on November 5th for the chance to go back for another 4. This is not anything I take for granted, and every day I walk into the Capitol, it's an absolute privilege and honor to represent my communities, and I look forward to doing that for another 4 years if given that opportunity.
Greatly appreciate the time as always, sir. Thank you so much for that. That will conclude the wrap of that part of the interview. Now, we do have a couple of more minutes left with the senator, and we only get to do this once a month, so I do want to take advantage of that time. And I know that you just left our fall legislative breakfast here in Rapids. How did that go?
It went great. We had a tremendous turnout, so hats off to Mid-State Technical College for hosting, and to the Heart of Wisconsin Chamber for putting this together. It was myself, Representative Krug. We had Congressman Van Orden, as well as Wisconsin Rapids Mayor Matt Zacher. And it was great to field questions from the audience, some of the very same issues we just talked about in the previous interview. And it's good to see so many folks from the community come out to share their perspective, ask questions, voice their concerns, because now is the time as we gear up for the next legislative session and gear up for the next state budget that people need to be reaching out to their lawmakers, because once the budget gets introduced, it's going to be horses out of the barn. We're going to be flying 60 miles per hour, and we're going to get a state budget done by the end of June next year.
And I wanted to wrap up being able to talk with you a little bit about this, because I can't help it. I love a good segue. I love a good transition. And after we're done speaking with you, we're going to be having our Wisconsin Rapids Fire Chief in. Well, you were recently named Legislator of the Year by the Professional Firefighters of Wisconsin Rapids Charitable Foundation. Can you tell us a little bit about the award and what it meant to you?
It meant a lot. Being recognized by our brave men and women who serve their communities and fire and EMS, it really it's humbling and flattering. And I was nominated by Pittsville Fire Chief Jerry Miner, who, to his credit, you want to talk about a guy who has been in the trenches legislatively for years, trying to pass what would seem like a simple bill, banning novelty lighters in the state of Wisconsin, because oftentimes we get flooded with counterfeit products that aren't safe. And Jerry tried for years and years and years, I think almost 15 years, to get this bill passed, and we finally got it done. And it was one of those, it took someone with a different perspective on how to get it done. And we recalibrated the bill, and we got it done, and it was really credit to Jerry's leadership. So I was very honored that he nominated me, but really the honor belongs to him and everyone who helped get this bill done. And my deepest appreciation for the men and women who serve in public service, especially in fire and EMS.
And as always, appreciate the conversation from you, sir. Looking forward to talking again. Safe travels out there, and thank you again for the time.
Absolutely. Thanks, James.
We'll be back with more Midday Magazine here at 97.5 FM, 1320 AM, WFHR. We are locally grown radio.